Book The Picture of Dorian Gray, Audiobook Summary. The Picture of Dorian Gray is a Gothic novel by Oscar Wilde that explores themes of aestheticism, morality, vanity, and the corrupting influence of indulgence. The story centers on Dorian Gray, a young, extraordinarily handsome man who becomes obsessed with youth, beauty, and the pleasures of life, ultimately discovering the dark consequences of a life devoid of morality. The novel opens in London at the studio of the painter Basil Hallward, a talented artist who is captivated by Dorian's beauty and charm. Basil paints a portrait of Dorian that captures his youthful perfection. At the unveiling of the painting, Dorian meets Lord Henry Wotton, a witty, charismatic aristocrat who espouses a philosophy of hedonism and aestheticism, the pursuit of pleasure and beauty above all else. Lord Henry's ideas profoundly influence Dorian, leading him to fear the fleeting nature of youth and the inevitability of aging. Overcome with vanity and a desire to preserve his beauty, Dorian makes a fateful wish, that he could remain eternally young while the portrait ages in his place. This supernatural wish comes true. As time passes, Dorian indulges in a life of excess, sin, and moral corruption. While he remains outwardly youthful and charming, the portrait begins to reflect the consequences of his actions, growing increasingly hideous with each vice, cruelty, and act of selfishness he commits. Under Lord Henry's influence, Dorian enters a life of decadence. He pursues pleasures without regard for the lives he ruins, engaging in manipulation, seduction, and deceit. He corrupts those around him, including young women and innocent acquaintances, with his charm and influence. One of the earliest victims of his moral decline is Sybil Vane, a talented actress with whom he falls in love. Dorian's attraction is based entirely on her artistic performance, and when she fails to impress him on stage, he cruelly rejects her. Devastated, Sybil commits suicide. Dorian, shocked at the real-world consequences of his callousness, momentarily experiences guilt, but quickly rationalizes his actions under Lord Henry's philosophies. As years pass, Dorian's life becomes increasingly debauched. He frequents opium dens, mingles with questionable company, and engages in acts that range from seduction to murder. Despite his outward charm and social reputation, the hidden portrait in his attic becomes a horrifying testament to his inner corruption, showing every mark of aging, sin, and depravity that Dorian himself avoids. The portrait becomes a moral mirror, reflecting the decay of his soul even as he maintains the illusion of eternal youth. Dorian's actions eventually lead to violent and tragic consequences. He murders Basil Hallward, the artist who painted his portrait, after Basil confronts him about the corruption and hideousness reflected in the painting. Attempting to evade the emotional consequences of his actions, Dorian descends further into vice and fear, relying on secrecy and the power of his youth to shield him from accountability. Despite his attempts to escape morality, Dorian cannot completely evade the consequences of his life choices. Haunted by guilt, paranoia, and a growing sense of emptiness, he realizes that he has squandered his humanity for selfish pleasure. Determined to destroy the evidence of his corruption, Dorian attempts to destroy the portrait. In doing so, he inadvertently kills himself. The act of stabbing the painting transfers the accumulated sins and years back onto his body, leaving Dorian Gray aged, grotesque, and lifeless on the floor. The portrait is restored to its original form, youthful and beautiful, while Dorian's body bears the horrifying marks of a life lived without conscience. The Picture of Dorian Gray is both a psychological thriller and a philosophical exploration of morality, beauty, and the consequences of unrestrained hedonism. Wilde examines the conflict between external appearances and inner reality, highlighting the dangers of vanity, selfishness, and the pursuit of pleasure at the expense of virtue. The novel critiques societal obsession with beauty and superficiality, illustrating how indulgence, influence, and unchecked desires can erode integrity and humanity. Through its rich symbolism, Gothic atmosphere, and morally complex characters, The Picture of Dorian Gray remains a timeless work. It raises enduring questions about ethics, identity, the nature of art, and the human propensity to prioritize pleasure and aesthetics over moral responsibility. Wilde's narrative continues to resonate for its incisive social commentary and its exploration of the duality of human nature, the tension between outward appearance and inner truth, and the ultimate consequences of living a life devoid of conscience. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.